I'm obviously devastated by what I saw in the initial moments that I started receiving footage before I received a formal news update. I actually thought that people were resending footage from October 7th at the Nova Massacre at the music festival, only to realize to my horror that it was in fact another terror attack against the Jewish community.
As I say, Emily, that everyone I've spoken to today, they're not surprised. And this is the worrying thing. It's like many in the Jewish community go, well, we were kind of expecting it to come. So what is it with governments that are allowing it to happen?
Well, I think that the Jewish community has been sounding the alarm about the tolerance of intolerance for quite a while, in particular in the aftermath of October 7th. We saw on October 8th in the UK, in Australia, in the United States, and in Canada, protests against Israel. Now, I remind your viewers that Israel never responded to October 7th until more than 2 weeks after the massacre actually took place. So what exactly were they protesting? This is just an example of the type of radicalism that we're seeing. It isn't pro-Palestinian. It's not helping the pro-Palestinians. It's not preventing war. It's not doing anything in favor of the Gazan people. But what it is doing is supporting terrorism, which is in fact oppressing Palestinians, and fomenting anti-Semitism that manifests in attacks on Jewish communities, just as we saw in Manchester on Yom Kippur, just as we saw today in Australia.
And Emily, why do you think liberal left-wing governments like we have in the UK and like they have in Australia seem to sit back and accept the fact that basically Jew hatred is on our streets, visible? Jews are attacked in their homes, in their synagogues, even in restaurants we've been talking about today. Why do governments sit back and let that happen?
Well, I think this is the byproduct, at least in part, of a very coordinated effort by more extreme movements like, for example, the Muslim Brotherhood, to convolute the reality and to make it seem like some of these organizations that are in fact giving cover to terrorism are actually advocating for the Muslim community. And that is not the case. And you don't need to look any further than the fact that many Arab Muslim nations have banned the Muslim Brotherhood explicitly. So why hasn't the United Kingdom? These are organizations that also oppress Muslims. So they have this false sense of defending the Muslim community by allowing these types of protests, when in fact, they're not doing that at all. It's the endorsement of extremism that harms both Jews and Muslims. And of course, as we've seen in recent weeks alone across Europe, threats against Christmas markets, against Christian communities as well. And we see it every year. And it's just devastating that they misunderstand what's actually happening here, and that these groups are not in fact pro-Muslim or pro-Islam. They are something that's very damaging to the Muslim community who wants to live in peace.